Hello, and welcome to another episode of goTeach. I'm your host, Val Hill Jackson, and I'm also the principal investigator and co executive director of Brazos Valley Teach. Today, we're going to have a lovely conversation on going to college and recruitment. My guest today is Mr. Eric Watson from Texas A&M University. Eric, please share a little bit about yourself, and if you have a story about going to college, share that with us as well.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me on today. I really appreciate it. I think this is a super important opportunity to talk about college and recruitment and the processes to get there. But again, yes, my name is Eric Watson. I'm Associate Director of Recruitment for our undergraduate recruitment and outreach department at Texas A&M University, a role that I've recently kind of gone into, and I've been in a couple of different roles, but this is the most recent one. Overall, I've been in recruitment for almost 19 years, going on 20 years with Texas A&M University, because I definitely love it so much. And this is not what I came to Texas A&M University to do, but you just never know what plans will be in store for you. You just kind of have
Right.
to wait for those opportunities to kind of open up. Um, Funny college story. Um, I would have to say it was definitely during my process, which I like to tell students that I did very backwards. And if I had myself to go back and talk to, then I would tell myself things completely different.
Okay.
But I was one of those students that applied late,
Mm.
and because I just wasn't really paying attention, and although people were telling me what I needed to do, maybe it wasn't a priority, and so I stumbled through the process. I managed to get my application in at the very last minute, and I wrote an essay, and I wish I could find it because I want to know what I said in that college essay, and I was really worried that, oh no, Texas A&M is not going to accept me,
Mm.
partly because I was so late in the process.
Yeah.
But they did.
Mm.
And they said, Eric, you're admitted, but you have to come to summer school.
Right.
And summer school to a high school student has kind of a negative connotation sometimes. But I found that to be the best thing ever to kind of ease me into the university and get me acclimated to how things work at the school and start to meet individuals
Mhm.
and meet some of the classmates that I still know to this very day. So it was funny to me to look back on that process to say I was the students that I work with today with maybe not knowing or not really putting a lot of priority and emphasis into the application process. But I'm happy that I am where I am today and that I am a testament to maybe I did things not the right way, but here I am today. I've graduated from the institution. I do have a master's degree, and now I'm back kind of paying it forward to all
Mm.
those that helped me along the way in this process as well.
Mm. The process of going to college is quite daunting, right, for a lot of folks. And I think for a lot of kids who come from privileged backgrounds, they get support in navigating that process. What adversities do you think may be ahead for some of the students who are thinking, well, there's no place for me? And how can they think about sort of, overcoming those obstacles?
Yeah, so a lot of the barriers that students might face, one of them is just going through this process
Mhm.
and being really terrified of making a mistake
Yeah.
and not putting their best foot forward and worrying about will the institution that I've applied to accept me.
Right.
Or am I prepared enough academically? Am I quote unquote smart enough to
Mm.
be at the school? So there's a big imposter syndrome. Do I even belong
Right.
on that campus?
Mhm.
Will I fit in? So these are some things that students might think about when they're going through the process itself. Um, we still have access issues, and students who may not come from privileged backgrounds, may not have the access to technology to apply to technology to study and prepare for the SAT or ACT. They may not have the ability to explore the colleges that they want to. Their families will take their children all across the country to visit colleges and universities. Well, there are a lot of students that can't do that.
Mhm.
If they aren't getting connected to a school that is very close to them where they can, drive a few miles or take the bus to get to, they may never get that opportunity, especially if their school isn't taking them on those campus trips and things like that and exposing them to these different types of opportunities. So we're still kind of navigating barriers to some students that may not have the access. And we're still dealing with students who may, feel like, is this worth it? Is it
Mm.
worth my time? It definitely is it worth the money that I'm gonna put into it? And they're not necessarily seeing the overall opportunities that that going to college and pursuing higher education opportunities can bring to them,
Mhm.
because it's so far out to look. It
Right.
may be looking 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, when a lot of students just kind of live day by day or month by month.
Mhm.
And they're just worried about the next thing that's coming up in front of them, but they're not being able to see the goal and the vision that might be laying out in front of them that may be years down the road.
Is a degree still worth it, Eric?
I would say yes.
Mm.
Um, One, definitely for the academic component, to help you think critically, as it pertains to the field that you're interested in and what you want to go into. But the other thing I believe is just being a part of that college environment. In addition to that degree, all the different opportunities that you're going to be exposed to that you might not get a chance to be exposed to if you may not seek out higher education opportunities, and those can come at an opportunity for a student that wants to go to a community college.
Right.
Doesn't always have to be a university, but they're
Mhm.
taking this opportunity to understand a little bit more about themselves
Mhm.
and what they can tolerate and what they have to work on and what they may not realize that they are actually capable of doing, and the interactions, connections that they will make in college and how they will just mature, because that with going to college definitely comes that next level of responsibility.
Right.
You're trying to become an adult, and a lot of students want to be an adult very, very early in their teenage years, but there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. And I think college gives students that opportunity to grow up
Mhm.
a little bit more. They're going to face challenges that they're going to have to overcome. And in doing so, they're growing up and maybe not even realizing it.
Mm.
And that happens as soon as mom and dad drop them off on those front steps of the institution and they leave and, like, all right, you're on your own
Yeah.
now. You have to figure it out. You have to make decisions. You're going to make some bad decisions, but you're going to learn from those decisions. And I
Mhm.
think being in college allow students to grow up and experience things that are going to help them later on in life.
Gotcha. Listen, I read an interesting article about a week ago that spoke to the college aspirations of Generation Z. And these are kiddos who are in high school and middle school right now who are thinking about, well, I don't want to go to college. I'm going to go right into the workforce. What do you say to that student who's thinking that it's not for me?
Well, there's always been a thing that college is not for everybody.
Okay.
I still believe in college provides you with opportunities that you may not necessarily get if you choose not to go.
Okay.
There is still value in having that piece of paper attached, to your name,
Hmm.
that you definitely put in the effort and that you receive some training. And you know, a bachelor's degree still provides you with more opportunity financially than having a high school diploma. A master's degree might provide you more opportunities than having a bachelor's degree. So, depending on what it is you want to do, you may have to continue to educate yourself. Um, Students that I've worked with in the past that have taken, I would say, gap years and were just going to work, they realize very quickly that is a very hard thing to do because they may still be staying at home and they're juggling a lot of different things and they're having to become a real adult very, very quickly without being in a setting that might train them
Right.
and prepare them a little bit more to take on a lot of those adult challenges that they might actually face. So if you do try this opportunity of just going straight to work, is there an opportunity for you to continue to get more training if you're interested in whatever it is that you're doing?
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, and that's very important that you do that you don't just stop and get complacent with what you're currently doing, that you're always looking for an opportunity to elevate yourself. And in some cases, that might require you to get some sort of a degree to get to that next level.
Yes, absolutely. For all our young people out there who are listening, the idea of getting those additional workforce credentials,
Yes.
as well as an additional degree, I'm of the mindset that the paycheck isn't everything. We need to get involved in the kind of work experiences that are going to add value to our life. And
Mhm.
sometimes we need to have those credentials and those degrees to do that kind of work. I want to talk about right now a little bit about the kinds of support that your office provides for that prospective college student. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So we're in the middle of the application process right now for those who are planning to come in for the fall of 2023. And they are in the application process. They are working on the applications. They're writing essays. They're doing their FAFSAs. They're doing TASFAs. They're doing scholarship applications. They're taking SAT and ACT exams. They're still visiting colleges. They're going to college. There's a whole lot of things that are taking place right now for a senior that's in
Right.
high school, right? for a lot of students, that can be extremely overwhelming when you add that on top of everything else that you're doing, regular schoolwork, AP classes, working,
Hmm.
doing extracurricular activities. And so some students definitely need that extra support to kind of help them along in the process, make sure that they're staying on track with everything. And so, we have dedicated recruiters and regional recruitment teams that are out in the cities that have territories across the state,
Okay.
here locally, Bryan College Station. And their sole purpose is to assist students in this process. One, to recruit them and encourage them and have them think about coming to Texas A&M University, but also to get them through that process and helping them understand that it's not a good idea to procrastinate
Hmm.
in getting the things in that you need to submit to have a complete application, so that way you can be considered for admission. Um, and also to help them understand exactly, once that process is done, all right, what happens next? The decision is going to be made, and what type of decision is it that you might receive, and helping them understand those different options that might come out of that decision making process, so that way they can have those conversations with mom and dad,
Right.
and uh, and make that solid determination eventually. Yes, I'm going to go to A&M, or I may have to go to Blinn first, which is perfectly fine to be able to do that. Or maybe what I want to do isn't really here in this area. I have
Right.
to go to another institution
Hmm.
to get that degree that I want to. But they are getting advised, not just from our team as well, but also from their high school counselors
Hmm.
that are walking them through this process too. And so it's very important that students surround themselves with enough people that can kind of monitor and guide them through the process. If you want to do it on your own, that's perfectly fine.
Right.
But you need to know exactly everything that you have to do. And for some students, that is extremely overwhelming,
Hmm.
to the point where if they've wasted too much time and we get close to deadlines, it is just way too much to have to deal with. And
Right.
some students just kind of like throw their hands up, like, nope, this is not,
Mm.
I'm not doing this right now. I'll think about doing it later on. But they be missing out on tremendous opportunities. Um, but for the simple fact of all the process that they have to go through, it just wasn't something that they wanted to go through at that particular time.
Mm. I hope our young people out there, as early as middle school, maybe even as early as kindergarten, are thinking about going to college. But I want the junior student to hear what we have to say
Mhm.
today, and that's senior. So here we are in early October, and you are a junior or a senior. What is it that you need to be focused on if your aspirations are going to college?
Well, right now, I mean, for the juniors, it's watch what the seniors are doing. Do what they do or don't do what they do.
Right.
Start to prepare yourself. This is your opportunity to go do those college visits
Hmm.
and to start looking at the application, to start looking at the different types of scholarship opportunities that you may be able to apply for. It's never too early to really start that process. And come spring semester of your junior year, there will be some things that you will start working on for the application
Hmm.
process. This is your time to get your college visits in, either this fall, like spring, or definitely during the summertime. Because when you become a senior, there's a lot of things that's going on in senior year, and those opportunities may not be readily available.
Sure.
Students just don't have time
Hmm.
to do a lot of stuff during their senior year. So that junior year is the prepping.
I got you.
And that started ninth grade year, 10th grade year with the research and looking at your major, what you're interested in, asking some questions, working and enhancing your overall uh, application as
Hmm.
far as your extracurricular activities. What do you do? What are you involved in? And that plan is really starting to take shape your junior year. You have to kind of continue to think about it, right? Senior year, it's the execution of that plan. All this planning that you've done, now you have to put it into practice. And
Gotcha.
so you know when you have to apply, you know when the deadlines are, you know when everything is due. Um, and you've been working towards this process till right now, which is we're kind of in the middle of the process. We're
Hmm.
we're a few months away and we're done
Hmm.
with this next class of students. December 1st is the admissions deadline for A&M.
Hmm.
So, we're already 2 months away from that process
So
being
it's
over
not
with.
too late.
It is not too late,
Hmm.
but we're at the middle.
Okay.
And then once we get into November, it becomes plainly clear for sure if students are going to be able to get through this process,
Hmm.
or not. So for seniors, it is really high impact time frame right now, because they're applying not just to Texas A&M University, but they're applying to schools all over the state
Right.
and all over the country.
Hmm.
Institutions have different deadlines. They've got early action deadlines, early decision deadlines, regular deadlines, housing deadlines. And if you're not the one that keeps all this stuff in order, and if your organizational skills aren't the best, this can be another very overwhelming time frame,
Mhm.
in your life at, 17, 18 years old, to try to have to do all this and
Right.
do it on your own, and,
Mhm.
which some students would prefer to do. Those that get the help, they know exactly when things are due because there's somebody kind of keeping an eye on making sure that they're doing the right things. But it's a very busy time frame and it doesn't stop. Spring
Mhm.
semester, you're looking at those decisions. You're looking at your financial aid and scholarship packages. You're solidifying your housing, and that goes all the way through May. And then at that point, now you're starting to begin that transition,
Mhm.
to the institution that you're going to go to, saying your goodbyes, moving into your dorms and apartments, and beginning that next phase in your life.
The exciting phase,
The
for
exciting
sure.
phase, yes.
Absolutely. So right now is crunch time. We have college application deadline right around the corner,
Mhm.
early December. Now, I want to speak to those folks who are in the prep phase, right? The freshmen, the sophomores, the juniors. There's a lot of homework you said that they need to do.
Mhm.
And if for those who may have their sights on state schools around the state of Texas or even Texas A&M, they need to know that they can go and visit and find out and explore all the different programs and options. You got a great lineup of opportunities if folks want to come to our campus. You want to talk about that? What you
Sure.
all do?
We do so much. I think what's important to know is that most institutions, they're not off limits.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you want to go and visit, you find a way to get on that campus, even
Okay.
if it's just to walk around and just kind of get the feel of what it's actually like, right? If you're fortunate enough to be a part of a program that is dealing with outreach, and we have some of those opportunities with our community outreach and inclusion team, and we can start you as early as middle school if you
Mm.
qualify for those programs. And it's really starting to expose you to what higher education is, and it's not just a student; it's the entire family. What does that whole aspect look like for the family? But as you're thinking about the colleges and schools, and you might want to go, this is the time. Those are the times when you start asking questions. You start talking to your high school counselors about what you're interested in. Or hey, what types of majors do these types of careers?
Okay.
Because maybe they don't know it. They know I want to do this, but they don't know what I'm supposed
How
to
to get
be
there?
when I get into
Mm-hmm.
college, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's those very early types of questions that are very innocent questions that
Mm-hmm.
students are trying to um, that want to ask, but they're not exactly sure how to. But if you can get on a campus and you can walk around and you can go to an open house, we have Aggieland Saturday in
Mm-hmm.
February, and it's coming around again, and we're planning for it right now because we know we're expecting, over 10,000 visitors to come to Texas A&M, and they're coming as early as elementary school and transfer students and professional school students that are coming to visit the institution. So you want to be able to look for those opportunities wherever institution that you're looking for, they have these open opportunities.
Right.
They have them throughout the school year. They have multiple preview days that you can go and visit. A lot of students don't realize that you have excused absences in your high school to go and do college visits. And so take
Mm-hmm.
advantage of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're connected with an institution, you may get an invitation to go on a campus trip, a bus trip, a free bus trip to visit campuses and maybe spend an overnight experience, but you're getting a chance to be exposed to all those different things, or a summer camp that may have you on campus for 3, 4, or 5 days, an entire week,
Wow.
where you're immersing yourself in a major that you're interested in. And we have those programs at A&M and the College of Architecture, and some programs in the College of Engineering, and the College of Veterinary Medicine has open houses and enrichment camps. And so these are really great opportunities to start those conversations and hopefully to pique that interest. And what I would say to the parents out there is, if your child is latching onto something and they're really, really interested in it, find ways to nurture that interest,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't want that to burn out at
Mm-hmm.
some point. And when kids are growing up and they're coming up through elementary school and middle school, they know what they want to do. They all, I want to be this, I want to be this, I want to be this. And then somewhere along the lines, that starts to phase out. And when
Yeah.
they get into high school, it's like, well, I don't know what I want to do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's because they weren't put in front of opportunities to kind of help them, be exposed to those interests, and help them see if this is what you want to do for a good portion of your life, or do you want to start focusing on something else. So there are things that parents can do to help with that process, as well as just encourage and provide opportunities for the students to be exposed to that. And we know that's not always easy, and some parents can't do that.
Right.
But if they will reach out to a local institution that and ask, "Hey, do you have opportunities that my child might be able to get involved in?" They're probably going to be surprised at how many things there
Oh, yeah.
actually are.
Oh, yeah.
And all they had to do was just ask, and
Mhm.
and they'll see the doors come wide open for that.
Sounds like 18-year-old Eric could have benefited from
Yes,
programs like that
yes,
many years
18-year
ago,
Eric would have definitely.
and myself as well.
Mhm.
I'm thinking about certain students and how they may have their sights on a state school around the state of Texas or Texas A&M. Uh, Coming to Aggie Land can be fantastic. We are a welcoming and affirming place, but there may be some folks out there, some young people who may not feel like it's a place for them.
Mhm.
Folks who come from certain backgrounds, who may not feel as if they'll have a place of belonging. What can you say to that kid who's thinking that way?
Sure. It is a concern. It is a concern for a lot of students, especially if you have no background, you have no family history of being a part of the institution. You've never come for a visit, or you have your own perspectives and you've heard different stereotypes about the institutions, and so you're a little apprehensive about even considering it. What I would say to that student is you have to get on campus. The thing that helps us sell A&M the best is them getting on the campus and walking around and talking to folks and experiencing it, because you have to see things. And you know, I came from an age where the internet was a brand new thing. So, but now you can see all these different things on the internet and you can explore the campuses, but you still have to feel it when you get to the
Mm,
campus. I think
mhm.
if you walk around a campus and you'll know as soon as you step foot on a college campus if this is a place you want to pursue.
Right.
Doesn't take very long, right?
Mhm.
You're looking for certain things. You may be looking for people who look like you. You may be looking to see, are just people in general just friendly?
Mhm.
Is it easy for me to get around? What does the campus look like?
Mhm.
Can I see myself here at this institution? And if you can say yes to those things, then it goes to the next step. All right, I'm at least going to submit an application to
Right.
that process. But when you're trying to start connecting that, maybe taking a deeper a level of engagement, because you may be looking to be a part of certain groups. And coming to campus and connecting with people, you might be able to get exposed to those different types of groups.
Mhm.
And that was very important for me as well, coming as a student of color to Texas A&M University. I wanted to be around people who look like me.
Right.
I wanted to be around folks who, maybe from different areas. I'm from Texas, born and raised, probably not ever going anywhere, but I want to be around people who maybe from different parts of Texas, because
Mhm.
I didn't always have that. And once I found those individuals and knew that they existed here at Texas A&M, it made it much more easy for me to say, yes, this is a place that I want to go, because I know how to get myself connected. I know certain people here. I know people who have come in the past.
Mhm.
Um, and I think those are very critical moments in a student's life when they're trying to decide where they want to go.
Right. Right.
If they don't feel like they fit, there's no way they're going to apply
Mm.
or come. Or if they don't investigate it enough, they may show up to campus and decide in the first couple of weeks, this is not what I expected it to be, and maybe looking for a way out, which is what a university does not want to happen.
Right.
We want to retain that student and make sure they're getting connected, and they're able to use all the resources that are available to them to help them be successful. And sometimes it's hard for that student to come forward and say, I need help with this. I'm not connecting. I haven't met people. Or
Mm.
I'm struggling academically, or I'm homesick, or I'm all these different things. And if they're not talking about this openly to somebody, then
Mhm.
it's easy for them to say, all right, I tried it, didn't like it, I'm out. And I'll look for something else later on in life, but that may or may not happen, right? So
Mhm.
you have to be a part of the community. A&M is definitely very unique, and you have to be a part of the culture a little bit. You got to try out some things that maybe you're not very used to,
Right.
but eventually it'll kind of grow on you,
Mhm.
and it did with me as well. And it was I never thought that I would be at A&M. Um, I never thought I'd be working for A&M as
Mhm.
long as I have now.
Mhm.
But I truly believe in the product that the institution puts out there.
Right.
And now I get to be a part of that as well, to help students come along that may feel the same way that I did when I was going through the process. And I can tell them, it's okay.
Mhm.
I'm going to help you get connected so that way what is available to you here.
Mm. Thanks for sharing that, Eric. There is a college home for everyone who wants one.
Mhm.
All right. Listen, if there is a family out there or a high school student who wants to learn more, what website can they go to learn a little bit more about what you all have to offer here at Texas A&M?
Sure. So I'll put out our admissions website, admissions.tamu.edu. That's where you can go to learn about the process, the application process, explore the different majors, connect with a regional representative that may be in charge of your school or your area. But I would also venture to ensure students are checking out their intended majors, and look at those academic programs and
Mhm.
find out, is this program going to line up with what I want to do professionally as a career? And if not, continue to ask the questions, right? So do what you have the ability to do right now, just explore the website and research. And that goes for a student who's in middle school, for somebody who's in ninth grade, 10th grade, for sure. This is your research moment because you want to put that plan into action
Mhm.
come senior year.
Mm.
Senior year is really not the time to start thinking about what am I supposed to be doing. You need to know.
Yeah.
And that needed to happen the year before or the years before that,
Mhm.
right? So that way you're not wasting time and effort, um, still trying to figure things out. Something that I've always told students before is that, this is the plan. This is what you've been working 12 years to get to. And
Right.
now it's finally here. Have you prepared yourself enough to be ready to make that transition? Because the reality is that when you graduate, you don't go back to high school.
Mm-mm.
It's over. You go back as a visitor and you put on a name badge like everybody else does when they go visit. High school is no longer going to be there. So are you prepared enough to make that transition when
Right.
you walk out of those high school doors and you get your diploma and you've graduated? In those next few weeks, you're going to be transitioning to the next phase of your life. Have you prepared yourself well enough for that process? And if you can honestly, at this point right now, speaking for the seniors, and you're like, no,
Mm.
we need to have a conversation because
Right.
we can get you ready for that transition. So that way it's not so much of a shock when you do ultimately make it. I teach a Hullabaloo class, which is a freshman class at
Mhm.
A&M.
Mhm.
And the biggest challenge that those students face right now to this very day, study skills,
Mm.
time management, and sleep.
Mm.
you know
Mhm.
and these are things that they probably never really had to think about in high school that much, but now they're having to figure it all out
On their own.
on their own,
Mhm.
right? And so it's a beautiful thing to kind of see because you see them changing and growing week by week, and they're going to be a completely different person at the end of the semester than they were when they first walked in the door, right? And I say that to say, don't be too scared to make some mistakes
Right.
or just be uncertain, right? It should be like a nervous excitement,
Yeah,
you know.
that's life, right, Eric?
It's life,
Mhm.
and this is just the first time you're going to have those
Mhm.
experiences, right? But just embrace them. Figure out who you need to attach, have around you to help you through those processes, and then go forward and go through it, and have no regrets about it as well as you're going through it. You want this to be one of the most exciting and best opportunities that you've had in life to
Mhm.
that particular point, right? Um, and we can find a way to help that make that possible for you, whether it's a 2-year institution or a 4-year or a trade school.
Right.
There is, like you said, there is a college for everybody if you want to choose to pursue it.
I love that. You gave us a lot to think about today. And when I think about 18-year-old Eric, didn't have all the resources that the kids today have, right? So, anybody that's listening, we have outlined a really great roadmap for everyone to sort of think about. The preparation starts now. If you're in middle school and high school, the preparation starts now. If you want more information, go to admissions.tamu.edu. Thank you, Eric, for your
Thank
time.
you.
All right. So, I want you all, especially those young people out there who are in high school, we want you to go be a role model, go to college, go teach. Thank you.